official. Hello, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this live session I've got with my great friend. Don't worry, I'll introduce this wonderful person very soon, but a good morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. We're going to give folks a couple minutes to jump on in, and I'm going to go make sure that we're actually streaming because I'm now doing this on LinkedIn and YouTube. So,
Okay.
yeah, Kristján, if you would like to tell some jokes or engage the audience, I will be right back just to make sure we're live.
I didn't prepare for that.
You did not.
No. Okay. Well, I got one joke, but it's kind of a you have to know the context of it. But what do you do if you get lost in an Icelandic woods?
Oh, what do you do if you get lost in the Icelandic woods?
It's pretty easy. You stand up because our trees are pretty low.
Oh,
What
wow,
we
okay.
call trees in Iceland, people from America call bushes.
All right. And we've all learned something, folks. This has been a great cultural exchange here of information. All right, team, we are going to get started. We've got the chat going. So I'll just quickly say, I'll be keeping an eye on the chat as best I can, but please drop your questions or concerns or ideas in there just so we can keep up on it. We have our own slide deck we're going to go through to talk about things, but I do expect and hope that all of you wonderful people will have some ideas or questions or things you want to learn about. So we're going to jump on into our slides. And the first thing, Kristján, can you explain this art style? It's very particular to you that I see a lot. What is this about?
This is the art style. It has a name, actually. So for me, it was just me growing up in the 80s. This was what I saw everywhere in every movie I want to see and whatnot. But it's called Outrun today. So it's kind of nostalgic. A lot of sun or moonlight, palm trees, cars driving into the sunset, that type of thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of a great transition. Could you introduce yourself to the audience? Because many folks may not have met you yet.
Sure, totally. So my name is Kristján Mathiesen, and I was born in Iceland, but for the last 11 years, I've lived here in the States. I've been using Atlassian products for the last 15 years, and then administrating them for the past 11 or so. I've got involved with the Atlassian community about 5 years ago, and that's a great place to be in, a great place to know of. I heard of it when I started administrating. I heard of it, but I don't know, I just didn't get in there. But I should have gotten in there a lot sooner. So one pro tip is to make sure you get into the Atlassian community and get involved there. I do Throwback Thursdays there in the community. I do some Did You Know nuggets, learning tidbits on LinkedIn. And then this week, we're going to reboot the Salt Lake City ACE. And we're going to have our first event on Wednesday. So we're pretty excited about that. And then I've also volunteered as a subject matter expert for Atlassian in the past.
Amazing.
But now I work for Atlassian on the Credentials team.
And what do you do on the Credentials team? Like, what is your role with that group?
Is to help either create new exams, like we just rolled out the Rovo certificate, or maintain, update existing exams. So a lot of project management, basically. Yes, I should say that.
Project management, but focused on all the credentials that Atlassian creates, I guess.
Yes.
Awesome. And for folks who don't know, ACE is the Atlassian Community Events. This is one of them. This was posted through the virtual ACE. There are also in-person ones, though. So if you can't make the big conferences, if you want to meet people in person, you can go to local events like the one Kristján and the other leaders put on in Salt Lake, but they're all over the world. So great in-person opportunities. My name is Rob. I've had a career through project management. I was forced to start using Atlassian stuff in about 2013. Since then, I've earned a number of certifications and credentials. I do it, and I'll talk more about this as we go, to build out my own knowledge base, my own internal understanding. And this is because I learned the products by being forced to use them. And I'd be curious if folks in the chat had a similar experience. You know, how did you get to learn these products? I'll drop a quick question.
Forced to use them. Well, maybe back then, but today?
Fair. Back in the day, that was just the knowledge base we had. It was just the ticketing system.
Okay.
Now I've become an Atlassian trainer. You'll see me doing a lot of online content and things, and also talks like this with folks to understand more about what we do. I've also earned my ACAE, Atlassian Certified Administrative Expert. We'll talk more about these things as we go on. But you can always find me on YouTube. If you have a minute, please hit the like button. Easiest way to support me. I do this professionally. This is my job, which is amazing. I'll talk about some other ways you can help me keep doing what I'm doing here. Interaction, like and subscribe. If you're on LinkedIn, drop in a comment. I'll be keeping an eye on that. And I've got an eye on the chat in YouTube. So please let us know what questions you have. I'll also ask some prompts to try and get some information out of the audience just to make it a little bit more engaging than me and Kristján talking to our cameras.
You got so many eyes, Rob. That's amazing.
We've got 17 folks with us right now, which is amazing. Plus, this will be available on record, both on LinkedIn and YouTube. So, all right, a quick agenda. This will be like most of my sessions. We're going to go back and forth between slides explaining ideas and also not a system in this case, but looking at the actual credentials. We're going to start out like, what even is a credential? And there's a term certificate, credential, certified. What does that all mean? And then dig into like, what are they for? Why do you care about these things that exist? Or why do other people care? And because Kristján's on the team that makes these, I'm going to, put him in the hot seat and see how they're made. Because this to me is fascinating. How do you go from Confluence exists to here's a credential for it? But then we'll give you practical tips. How can you all prepare for them? What do you do when you earn them, and advice? So please keep the questions coming in the chat. Let us know how we can demystify these things for you. All right, Kristján, could you read this out loud, please? What is a credential?
A qualification, achievement, personal quality, or aspect of a person's background, typically when used to indicate that they are suitable for something. That's a lot of words.
It is. This is the dictionary definition of a credential. For me personally, a credential is just something saying I know something.
Yeah.
It could be simple. It could be a mini credential in Confluence that I'll talk about. It could be you earn a doctorate degree and you're a board certified physician. So depending on where we're at, credentials are all different. This definition kind of tells it, but in the context of Atlassian, it's really something saying a minimum amount of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what, to me, one reason it's useful is it proves to other people, oh, Kythrin knows a lot about Confluence. I can trust when I talk to them, or they know what they're doing. There's a constant debate and friction between experience versus credential. For me, the credential opens the door. The experience proves out what you know. And actually, I don't know if we have slides for this, Kristján, but you had a story about like practical use for credentials.
Yes.
Would you mind sharing that before we jump too into these?
Yes, totally. So back in the day, I think it was 2018, I took the ACP 100, which is Jira administration, and I posted it on my LinkedIn profile. I don't know, as part of a credential or whatever. And I actually was pinged a few months later by somebody, and he asked me if I would be looking for some side gig, on earn some extra dollars. So he had a Atlassian partner business that he was running, and he needed some extra hands. And I said, sure, I'm open to hear what you have to offer and what it looks like. And so he set up an interview, and it was just a half-hour interview. And then when we met, he said, okay, I've seen you got the ACP 100. I only have one question for you. And I was like, oh, okay. And that got me nervous. And the question was, what's the difference between screen schemes, and issue type screen schemes, or work item screen schemes today? And I was able to answer that question. And they said, okay, you got the job. How many hours a week do you have? You can help out in this. So in other words, that credential got me that job, basically. Well, plus answering one question.
I really like that story because that to me highlights, and we'll talk about, what are these for, but, it's unlikely someone's going to pop quiz you in a random place about one of these things. But on LinkedIn, if you say, hey, I've got this ACH thing around Rovo, that signals to people you know something.
Yeah, totally.
And that's enough to continue the discussion. So we've got 3 different flavors of Atlassian credentials. Now, Kristján, these are all pronounceable. So we've got the ACs, the ACAs, and the ACPs. Is that correct?
Yeah. I don't know how many people are actually pronouncing these, but Maybe maybe if we can do a poll with recordings so we can hear how people are pronouncing them.
I will find a way to make that happen because I love pronouncing acronyms. These are all acronyms that define different credentials. Um, you'll hear me say ACH, ACA, ACP. I jokingly try to pronounce them. We'll dig more into exactly what these are. But I want to pull back and talk a bit about like, why are there credentials? Like, what are they for? Like, Kristján's story is great because that gives us like the validation. Yes, it validates Kristján knows this thing. But I've spoken about like putting them on LinkedIn, or you'll see people put them in their LinkedIn title or their header, and that gives visibility. Again, you're telling other people, hey, I know something about this thing. It's not just some test I took and some bit of paper I put on the wall and a nice T-shirt, that you might get. But it's signaling to other people you know something, and that can be incredibly useful, especially if you don't know the place you're applying or the person there, or they don't know you. It helps you get in the door.
Yeah.
It also verifies the skill, right? To earn that ACP 100, you had to go in and actually do all the things and then back it up, right?
Yes. And back in the day, it was these exams were a lot different. So they started off in 2016. Atlassian did in rolling out the certificates or certifications and credentials, and they've changed quite a bit. But back in the day, it was super hard. I had to study for a long old time, and it was a long Confluence page that I had that somebody shared with me in order to study for it. So I think you can look at it as an add-on to the education we have. Kind of like if you have a bachelor's degree and then you go in for a master's degree. In a way, it shows a specialization that you've done and the knowledge that you have going down that path. I mean, Cisco had these, and I still do, certificates. I remember back in the early 2000s that they were like, if you were able to flash them, you got the job. And it's very important for Atlassian to maintain the rigor and the fairness of these exams in order for them to mean something, right?
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that comment about fairness. I'd like to come back to that when we talk about like how we make them, which is our next thing. This is a rare photo of what it looks like to make these certifications. They lock us all in a room at these desks, and this is a joke.
That's my project management right there. I'm in the left-hand corner there.
I think Kristján is right about here. Jokingly, but they are made by groups. It's not just, okay, we're going to make up some questions, we're going to throw it into a chat GPT or whatever. I'm also a subject matter expert. I'm someone who Atlassian trusts to know a little bit more about Rovo or Confluence or whatever. But it's not just put people in a room and get questions. There's science behind it. And I know about this much behind that. So could you share some of the science, Kristján, or your understanding of like what goes into it beyond just right questions?
Oh, okay. And we're going to go to the JTA and MQC and everything?
The JTAs and the MQLs. Yes, we're going to dig into
Yes, let's go into that. Okay. So yes, there's a science behind it, and it's not just Atlassian's way of doing things, but it's an actual worldwide approach to create exams that are fair and rigorous and that can that actually means something. So before we even start on the job task analysis, the JTA, we have to decide what is the exam going to be about. Like, so for Atlassian, is it going to be like a Jira, Confluence, Loom, Rovo? You got to pick the application that you're going to test on first. And the second step is the level of difficulty. Is it going to be for beginners, intermediate, advanced? So once you have those two decided on, then you can move on to the job task analysis. And basically, the JTA exercise is to list up all the tasks that a person who is, let's take Jira, for example, and this is a beginner's course or exam, right? So a beginner Jira user, what kind of task would that user do? And so you start listing them up. So that's the job task analysis, the first step of the science. And
so it's really about pulling apart what would we expect. I'll pick on who do we have in chat here. Christy. We think they use Jira. What would they be doing in Jira? like sitting down and watching. Oh, they click on these buttons. They know
Yes,
these terms.
exactly.
Okay,
In Jira, and assuming that Christy is a beginner, because that plays into it too. Because we're not making just one exam for the whole scale spectrum. We're making it for a specific audience.
gotcha. So we've decided, we meaning Atlassian, we need a beginner's Jira.
Yeah.
What
So
does
like,
that person do?
exactly. So like Jira fundamentals.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. And let's stick to that. So the next thing we do, next thing we do is that then we create a profile for this person. So it's what would the minimally qualified candidate, MQC. So basically we have this reference when we're creating an exam that this is the minimum things that one needs to know in order to pass the exam. So this profile is created, and in the profile we talk about the person needs to have a general knowledge of Jira, know how to create a ticket, work item, know how to assign it, know how to mention, do comments, know a little bit about dashboards, filters, things like that. And in the profile, we also talk about what the person should not need to know about. This person does not need to know how to create a new Jira space from scratch, because that would probably be in the advanced professional level course.
And how do you come up with that list of things? Is that you just sitting down, typing out, I think it should be this?
Part of it is that, but part of it also, going back to the old picture, is the help of all the SMEs. So, going all the way, right
All
there,
these SMEs.
right
Yeah.
there. So SMEs are subject matter experts. There are a couple of ways to create exams. One way would be to just do it fully in-house. So just have Atlassian people sit down, one or two, and just hash out all these things, the JTA, the MQC, right? All the items, questions, etc. But then you kind of have just a single or two viewpoints of things. It's not very general.
Mhm.
And if these people have been working on writing tests, exams for a while, then they might not be very well up to date what's happening in real life. So, right? Does that make sense? We kind of
So a team effort of multiple people identifying this MQC.
Yeah. So the idea here is to, before we go further, is to recruit subject matter experts that are out in the field, that are working on this app, Jira in this instance, day in and day out, and know Jira really well. Pull them in, and they actually help build the JTA and this minimally qualified candidate profile. So now you're crowdsourcing. You're having a lot more people look at it and view it and critique it. And then we're always going back to the basic. This is a beginner's course. Are we still within our scope? So it goes back and forth, creating those two things, and then we move on to what is the next slide. Yeah, the JTA survey. So after the job task analysis has been created, we send out a survey to those SMEs and ask them to rate these tasks by frequency, importance, and criticality.
All right, so how often do I make a work item? How important is it in my day-to-day, and how critical is it that I do it right?
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
So if we have a team of 15 SMEs helping create this Jira beginners exam, then we have 15 different minds rating these different tasks. So then we can actually pull out some data and crunch on that to find out what are the most important tasks for this exam.
All right, so we've identified this minimum qualified person. We're determining what tasks go into it, and then we're rating them based on when do they happen, how important they are, and then we get this thing, a blueprint, right?
Yeah. So and then the result from the JTA survey is put into either a spreadsheet, or if you have a certification software, you can put in there, and the numbers get crunched. And each task is actually tied to a domain, and then that will tell us the blueprint. And the blueprint is just like it says. It's just a blueprint that tells us what does the exam need to look like. So it will take those that are the numbers that they get I forget what the name is. They get an index from these three areas. The index is created, and then we can see how important they are. So we need 3 questions on JQL. We need 2 questions on how to create a ticket.
Gotcha. So based on the weightings from all the experts, science,
Yeah.
statistics is done that says to evaluate this, you should have this many questions. So we're not guessing the number of questions. We're basing
No.
it on what experts feel people should know.
Exactly. And in which, under which domain. And then once the blueprint is ready and published, then we can move on to the actual writing. So the questions or items, as they're called, then we can start writing them. And there's, it's harder than you think. Exactly.
I'm a question writer, and this process, I'll show the next slide real quick. Then there's a review. This for me personally, sit down. If everyone tried right now to write a good question, I guarantee you most of them would get sent back for some reason. And it's not because Atlassian wants to be mean, but it's to make sure, and Kristján mentioned this earlier, that it's a fair, and transparent process, that when anyone reads the question, they know exactly what it's asking and they know exactly where the answer is. And so writing, like for me, this is a great experience. And this is my own personal experience with this, because I have to reshape how I think. I have to put myself in the mind of a raw beginner or an intermediate or an advanced whatever. And then how would I write a question to test that person's knowledge? Not Rob's knowledge.
Yeah.
That person.
Exactly. You keep on going to the frame that has been established. And by the way, we are on what? We're on step 5 now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So every step's output is the input for the next step. And that's how they tie together. So bit by bit, we are creating this scope, this framework, and we have to function within that framework. Like you talked about, Rob, we have to put ourselves into that mindset that I'm a beginner in Jira. What do I need to know? Another thing too about the items that we write, it can be pretty hard because we don't want ambiguous words. We don't want words like best or frequently, because frequent in my mind might not be frequent for somebody who lives in Southern California. Like me in Utah shoveling snow, that's pretty frequent. But Rob, I don't know how often you shovel snow, but
I don't. As a kid, I did. I grew up on the East Coast, and I would have snow days, and Mom would wake me up at 6 a.m. to go shovel the driveway. It was great.
But not anymore. So staying away from these ambiguous words, very important. We don't want the questions, the items to be tricky. It's not about trick. We're not trying to trick people to flunk and fail. It's about fair questions that test their knowledge. For example, trying not to use the word not so people have to invert. This is not about brain gymnastics, right? I'm not trying to make the question so hard that your brain is just going all over the place. It's to test knowledge.
And when we talk about advice, that for me is something I remember when I take these exams. They're not meant to, like, I'll say, use the term mess with me or play games or make me confused. They're intended to honestly assess what I know. And I have a lot of trust in the teams that make these. I'm also part of those teams, but I trust those teams that this review process helps ensure that the questions that get out are high quality. They actually test the thing, and they're not going to try to confuse me. And I'm going to feel like they're fair. It makes sense that, that answer is wrong for this reason. This one's right for that reason.
And these items, like you said earlier, they're not made in first draft. There's a lot of iterations, a lot of teamwork that goes into making a good item. That's just the way it is. It's the nature of the beast. You just,
So we've got all these questions. We've reviewed them, and now more science.
More science. So then when the exam goes live, and as people start taking these exams, then data is collected on them. Like, for example, if a question is always gotten wrong, then or one option of an item is never ever chosen. C on this question is never chosen. So that analysis done some time later, once the data is in, is used then for maintenance purposes. For example, like I said, if a question is always gotten wrong, then we look at it and talk about why is it always wrong? Is it just bad item? Is it just, is it confusing? And the same thing with the options. So the options are the answers, right?
So this is, it's a living, breathing process. It's not you write the exam in July and you don't talk about it for years. You're constantly looking at and tweaking and adjusting.
Yeah.
As a fun aside, I did a live study session for the ACP 420. That's the exam designation. So that's what the company that hosts the exam calls it, but it's the Jira Service Projects for Cloud. In the middle of the study session, the entire exam was rewritten. So Atlassian rebuilt everything around it. We were 3 hours into studying, and then, oh, hang on, we're not going to let you take the exam because we're updating it. I got a kick out of that. Like, I was laughing. There's a recording of me somewhere just going, oh no. But it's a good thing, again, because it means Atlassian is looking at and acknowledging that the products evolve and how we use them change. And that means how it was 2 years ago is different.
And we, when that happens, we try to freeze registrations for exams to,
Mhm.
to allow for, so people are not studying the wrong textbook, so to
Yes.
speak, right?
All right, so now we're going to touch back on this ACH thing. This is the newest type of certification. I'm going to put a QR code. It's right here above my finger. And this goes to the first ACH, Atlassian Certificate Holder. What's special about these, Kristján?
So what's special about these is that this is a new breed, if we can call it that way. Atlassian has hitherto, as of before 4 weeks ago, had two categories. So ACA, and ACP. But this ACH just got added when the Rovo certificate rolled out. So Atlassian Certified Holder. So the idea here is that that this is the easiest of all the three classes, so to speak. They're free, they're open book, they're non-proctored. You can just take it wherever you're sitting right now. You can sign up for it and just take it. And the idea here is that this is kind of like the appetizer for the credentials meal, if you like.
I like that. I like that appetizer because when I was looking at Atlassian certifications at prior jobs, I was saying, I don't have, $250. I don't have weeks to study. I don't want to be strapped to a chair for 3 hours. This is free. This is free.
It's free. And you don't have to go to a testing center. You don't have to download a safe browser.
Yeah. So I'll encourage folks, if you've heard about Rovo, check this out. The QR code goes to this page, I believe, where you can sign up and take it for free. This also includes study guides. So if you go to Start Prepping for Free, there's free learning connected to this. I'll talk more about the free learning as we go.
And that's, if I may cut you off, sorry, that's the textbook.
Yep.
You learn. Yeah.
And this textbook 2 is what we try to build the exam, or try to build this exam around.
Yes.
So, if you're looking for a free certification, definitely check this out and watch this space, because I'm sure Atlassian, I'm guessing there's going to be more ACH levels or level certifications.
Yeah.
So hopefully more free things coming.
Force is just around the corner. In the coming weeks.
Forge, for those of you who aren't developers, is the development platform for Atlassian apps and things. So there's an ACH for that coming out, it sounds like.
Yes.
Only the bottom half of the QR code is visible on YouTube. Well, that's useless.
Oh.
Thank you, Kaitra. I'm using a new platform to host folks like my friend here, and it may be misbehaving. So my apologies. I'll put the link in the chat in just a moment. Okay, so that was the ACH. The ACA is the middle layer. This used to be what I would call the entry level. And this is the Certified Associate. So there's a slight, terminology. You'll see certificate and certified. It's all some kind of credential proving we know something. But these are not free. And this was my challenge earning these, was just, I have to find $100 or whatever the price is where I am to go take it. And to Kristján's point earlier, this also needs a testing center. What does that mean?
So it means that you have to actually go to a certified testing center to take the exam. So it's a proctor test. Somebody's watching you, making sure that you don't cheat. A little bit different. Right. So these came out about 2 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago. 3 years ago. No, 2 years ago. They came out 2 years ago, so it's fairly new. So in a way, if you think about all the credentials that Atlassian is offering, the ACPs came out first, the hardest ones, the most expensive, the ones you need to study the most for. They came out first back in 2016, which is a long time ago. And then 2 years ago, ACAs came out. And then this year, the Rovo was the first one to be the ACAs came out. And then Rovo was the first one to be the ACH certificate holder.
In this, like this to me kind of makes sense. You mentioned the ACPs, that's the Atlassian Certified Professional. When I think of systems, I knee-jerk response is, oh, just the admins need a certification, right? The people who maintain and configure and monitor the system. And that's where Atlassian, it feels like, started. And this seems to be a very common conception. You're not an admin. Why do you need a certification?
Yeah, exactly.
But I have appreciated Atlassian expanding it because, again, it allows us to prove our skills. It allows us to learn and study things we wouldn't be exposed to otherwise. For example, that free Rovo certificate will show you how to use Rovo. You might not know all of those things.
No.
And just by preparing for the exam, you're going to learn more and be able to use it better.
And think of it like, and going back to my appetizer comment, think of it that way, taking the ACH, the Robo one, which is the only one available right now, it will get you in shape. It will get you knowing in testing shape, right? You learn how the questions are formatted. You learn how they're presented, and then you can move on to the ACA and take one of those as you prepare, and then eventually, hopefully, get to the ACPs. The ACPs were actually, they rolled out in the beginning. They were part of the Atlassian partner requirements.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Atlassian partners are groups that provide, you're installing Jira for the first time. They are people who can help you do that or advise you on how to use it or build things. This is also very common where a company will require partners, people who sell a service around the product, to be certified. And that tells Atlassian, hey, this consultant number 7 or consultant Rob actually knows how to do it.
Yeah.
So many groups have that as well. And again, it makes sense to me that the ACPs were first because of that. Now, these are much more in depth.
Yes.
So if people are looking into these, there's a bit more of a cost associated. They're a lot more technical because you have to understand more to prove, oh, I'm a professional. I'm on the admin level. But they are worth it if you're using these systems a lot, especially if you're a space admin. Yeah, so that's if you're either kind of space admin. Oops, sorry.
And this was the one that got me that side gig job.
Amazing.
That one question. So they do work. They do mean something.
100%.
Yeah.
A quick personal shout out. I'm doing free live study sessions for all the ACPs and all the ACAs on my YouTube channel. Over the year, I'll go through all of them. So next up is the Jira administration for cloud, but there's recordings too. So if you need study help, come find me. I'll help you out. Okay. We kind of already jumped into this page, but this is just going to be a walkthrough of the learning page. So I'll back up and I'm going to put this link in YouTube and in LinkedIn, but this is Atlassian Learning. Prior to 2024, most of the training in here was paid, but now all of the learning is free. So the first thing to just know, if you click on live learning, somewhere in here, there are free classes. There's free community-led classes like this one that you'll find. This is usually live or virtual. And then the on-demand learning. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh.
All of this on-demand learning is free stuff. This is also where you will go if you're earning that Robo certificate, which again is this QR code right above my finger. But there's a ton of stuff in here. Please dig around. Please grab stuff. Okay, onto the credentials. Also under learning are the credentials. And this lists them all out, ACH down. Anything in particular we should call out here, and Kristján? I'll keep with the tour showing things off, but any tips or tricks or what would you use this for kind of stuff?
Well, this is the place to go when you are shopping around, deciding what exam you're going to take next. And they start with the ACH, the holder, and then the ACA, and then ACP. There are actually 13 exams across those 3 categories in there. Oh, you just went on mute, Rob. Yes.
Sorry, there's a train that keeps blowing its horn. I'm trying not to get that stuck in the audio. All right. I was just counting. We've got, 7 ACAs, the Certified Associates. And again, these are, right now there's only that one ACH, and we can expect more to come.
Yes.
Definitely get the Robo one. It's free. But next, the ACAs. I'll pick one of these. I'm doing a training right now on Loom Essentials, for example. So I'll use this just as the example. All of these pages are structured similarly. You'll get this details bit at the top. And to Kristján's point, if you're shopping around, you're like, what looks interesting? This is what will tell you what the exam is for or what the certification is intended to do and what you'll learn in it.
Yeah.
So definitely review this. If you're like, I don't know if I need this, okay, it'll teach me these things. Here's who it's designed for. And then we get the exam topics.
Yeah.
This for me is important because it guides my studying. It tells me 36% of my time-ish should be on creating and editing. But it also suggests the things that Atlassian thinks we'll be doing the most. So in this example, Atlassian seems to think we're going to be doing a lot of creating and editing videos, which in Loom makes complete sense. When we look at an ACP, we'll see a broader swath of things. But I also use this for guidance in like how I use the tools. So maybe I don't even want the certification. I just want to know, what do people do in Loom? Oh, a lot of recording and editing, which makes complete sense for Loom.
And also think about the, the long, boring bit we did earlier with the science behind of creating exams. You can see some of that shining through on this page.
What do you mean boring? Science is exciting. There's beakers and explosions and test tubes and things, right?
That's true. And then you have the exam specifics, the prize and how long you have to take the exam. Like this one is 60 minutes. How many questions you can expect, the passing score, etc.
Yeah, and these are important too when you want to take the exam. And we'll talk more about advice, but like budgeting your time, or you can calculate the score. 68% of 30 is 21, I think. Now, one thing to call out is the certifications expire. Why?
Well, do we get any updates on our apps? Yeah.
Terms never change. What are you talking about?
Well, Atlassian came out with 1,400 updates last year, and the year before, I think it was 1,000.
So an update being changing something in an Atlassian tool.
Yeah. It could be a new feature. It could be a relocation of an existing feature. It could be moving some feature from one app and making it more general, like Rovo, cross-platform type of thing. Yeah, all kinds of things.
And that's why, like, I know that there are updates, and I tend to find them when I'm doing a live training, which is great. I didn't realize it was so many, though. But yeah, they do expire. And one thing I don't think we explicitly called out in the training, but you can renew them. There are different ways to renew. I'm trying to find it here real quick.
So as you're finding it there, the ACH, the certificate holder, does expire, and then you can just take it again, right? You don't have to renew it per se. You just take it again. But the ACA and ACPs are the ones that you will need to use this info here to renew.
Yeah. Now to renew them, you need, I forget what Atlassian calls them, continuing education units, I believe. Doing things like going to team counts for so many, attending trainings counts for so many. So there are ways that are either low cost or free to approach this. But keep in mind, once you pass that exam, you've got 2 years before you've got to somehow renew it. They aren't valid forever because the product changes so much. 2,500 updates in 2 years is a lot of updates.
Yeah. Would not be very credible if took it once and then lasted forever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I took that exam 4,300 changes ago, and
and this is common, by the way. I hold Project Management Institute certifications. I have to do this every 3 years. I have to renew them somehow. Additional training, take the exam again. CompTIA, that does generic or generalized IT, requires them. And this is also where we can look for Atlassian to be refreshing exams as well. So there is a cadence that these refreshes happen to reflect those updates in addition to our own ongoing learning. So this is an ACA, again, the middle tier. Let me go find the ACPs. Again, this is the professional. I'll pick on Confluence. I'm doing a session. I actually have 1 more hour left, a 9-hour arc on earning this one. And the biggest difference here is just the details will be more focused. But also you'll notice the topics. There's a lot more topics.
Yeah.
So when we...
And well, which makes sense because now you are probably in an admin role, and then all of a sudden the whole admin panel with all its shebang, you'll need to
more
know
buttons.
Yes.
Yeah, more dials, more things.
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
whereas a regular user doesn't have access to the admin panel, and therefore they're more limited features that you need to know about.
What did Uncle Ben say to Spider-Man? Great power, great responsibility. It's like once you get this access, you get a lot of power, but you can also really damage things by
Tread
doing the wrong
lightly,
thing.
right?
Yeah. But that's why these get more in depth. It's so to ensure that if you say, yes, I know how to administrate Confluence,
Admin components.
to admin Confluence, I know these things. Now, the ACPs also include this detailed breakdown. And this to me is what I base my study off of and what I build my my canned learning courses on. This is what the exam is built around. This is part of that output from, at least I'm assuming, Kristján, the MCQ, the JTA jobs task
Yeah.
analysis.
Exactly. This
So-
is part of the science, right? This is all part of the science. I mean, and hopefully what we're talking about here explains that these questions, items on the exams are not just pulled out of thin air and placed in there. There's a lot of thought behind it.
Mhm.
How to work.
We've got a quick question. My friend Tushar, I'll try and pop this up.
Okay.
Difference between ACH, ACP, ACA.
Okay. So the ACH, the new ones, they're free. They're non-proctored, open book, and you don't need to have a safe browser to take it. You can take it anywhere. Whereas the ACA and ACPs cost you a little bit of money. They're proctored. You have to go to either a testing center or have a safe browser to take it. Yeah. And also, part of that, I guess I should also say, is that they were more fundamental. ACH is designed to be a beginners. So you won't get any ACH that is a advanced professional, because that's the ACPs.
I think of these two like someone who's maybe never used Rovo would start here.
Mhm.
Someone who's been using Confluence for a year or two might use this one, the Essentials. And someone who has been a space admin for a while in Confluence and wants to learn more might do this one.
Yeah. And I mean, the same person could also start all three of them. Like today, remember when you were forced to use Atlassian tools back in
Fair.
2013?
Yep.
If that was today, not 12 years ago, you would have jumped in and probably started with an ACH on Confluence if it existed, and you've gone through that, and then you would move on to the ACA and then ACP, right?
Mhm.
So it's not that admins or professionals need to just jump into the ACPs right away. They can also just start with the appetizer and go through the whole thing.
And I like your comment earlier around taking the ACH will also help you understand how to take the exam.
Yeah.
And that is a great segue because I think we've got, where did it go? Nope. I thought we had a slide on tips.
Okay.
So let's pretend, let's come back to that in a second. Let's pretend we've earned our ACH. You've clicked on this QR code above my finger. You've earned your Rovo free certificate. What should we do next?
Oh, tell everybody. Start by telling your mom and grandma, and and then you put it on your LinkedIn profile. You put it. People can see it in the community. If you're in the Atlassian community, the credentials will be automatically show up on your profile.
Mhm.
You can share it with your team, your boss. This is a way to prove that you know something. Right?
You mentioned share it with your mom, your grandma. My mom will send me an email with a screenshot of a LinkedIn post of mine. Say, "Oh, I saw this. That was so great." So you may get some extra communication from family when you put this out there.
Hey, it's all good, right? It's all good. And as you move through the courses of the meal and end up taking an ACP, that might even land you a job or shorten the questions that you have to answer when you go for job interviews.
That's true. Just putting it out there, adding it to your LinkedIn or somewhere else can really help because then folks will see it and they'll start, oh, Kythra has this potatoes guide to Jira. I don't know if folks saw that comment in there, but no, and that tells me something about it.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Exam.
Yeah, and the cats you know too, because the network of cats is quite important.
I guess if a cat can a cat pass the exam? Random chance.
If I were a cat, I would start with the ACH.
That's going to be the quote from this one. If I were a cat, I would start with the ACH. All right. On to some exam tips. I'll switch back to this, and I'll pull up one of the ACAs just to mix it up. Jira Essentials.
Okay.
All right, I've taken a lot of these standardized tests over the years. I started off in information technology getting the CompTIA A+, like the entry-level IT one. But the same tips and tricks kind of follow for me. The first is know the topics, like understand just the general breakdowns. I kind of spoke about this earlier, but a fifth of all the questions are going to be about basic concepts. So that means when I look at my calendar, I go, oh, a fifth of my time on basic concepts. The other thing I'll do is when I know I want to take the exam, I'll schedule it. And I'll give myself 6 weeks of time, 3 weeks of time.
It's a great way to hold yourself accountable and commit.
Yes, because I find if I don't have it on the calendar, then I won't do it. So those are two easy ones in terms of prep. Now, for prep, get as much perspective as you can. Start with these Atlassian learning paths. Start preparing for free. And I'll just open this up. But this is pulling out of Atlassian Learning. This is all free. You need the Atlassian account for this. But again, an email does it, no cost. And these will walk you through most of what would show up on the exam. I'll say most of. There can be a bit of drift. These can be updated. But also for some people, this style of learning may not be the best. This is great content and great stuff. But the more perspective you can get, probably the stronger you're going to be. So talk to other people, get hands-on, go on Google, ask someone at work to help you out. But the more sources for me I can get when I'm learning, the better it's going to be for me on that exam because I'll have more ammo. I'll have more ideas, more answers in my head to help me learn things.
And the community is a great place to go too. There are some groups and community for learning, studying, for prepping.
You
for
read my mind. I'm going to
drop. I did.
I'm going to drop. I think it's this link. Goes to Atlassian Community's forum on certification. I think this is the right one. Now, the community, again, another free resource. It's got forums where you can ask questions and share answers for things. You'll see me in there. You'll see Kristján in there. You'll see thousands of people in there. Here's something on free training. If there's retired badges, what do we do? Introductions. Just a great place to go to ask for help, to share what you know, and to look up, to Kristján's point, how do I learn blank? So you'll get actual live humans in this one, and that's this QR code.
And there's another reason to get involved with the Atlassian community. It's not just about questions, technical questions.
It is not. There are a lot of other groups as well. You can click on discussion groups and then explore all groups. But you can see there's some around Jira, cloud admins, JSM news, etc. So a great general resource, also specifically for our ability and our pathway to certification.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions in the chat? Christie's cats might not follow traditional paths. That's okay.
That's fine. If you're a really pessimistic person, then you'll start with the dessert because you think you might not live to get to the dessert, right?
You heard it from Kristján. Eat dessert first, folks. Could we set up an ACC, Atlassian Certified Cat, maybe?
That'd be way cool.
All right, folks. Other exam tips. Go in and these learning paths also contain quizzes. So I'm going to just pick on this first one. If I go to the bottom of this, all the way to the bottom, there'll be a little mini quiz of like 2 to 5 questions. This is similar to what you'll see on the exams. It won't be the exact question, but it'll give you an idea. To Kristján's point about warming up and getting ready for it. Satish, I hope I'm saying your name properly, is asking like mock tests, practice tests. This is the easiest free thing you'll find are these little quizzes.
Yeah.
Now, when you take these, it's going to justify the answer. So even if I get it right, I read the justification because that teaches me more. It tells me more about the other answers.
Mm-hmm. And it's a thought process too. You like we talked about. You understand the thought process behind it. Training yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
To that mode. That's right.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. These exams, I'm fairly good at taking them because I can look at these, and when I'm looking at the answers, I go right away like, that one doesn't make sense. That one doesn't make sense. Maybe this one. So I'll go through in my head and the strategy of like reading the answers, and I can just throw some out right away. The testing platforms also sometimes have like a highlighter. I will highlight answers I don't want to use. So if you have access to like a little highlighter feature, you can highlight them just to remember, I don't need this one. I don't need that one. And you can also mark questions to review. You might say, hey, I don't know about this one. And when I take the exam, I'll go through all the questions. And if I can't do an immediate answer, I'll mark it for later, and then I'll come back.
Yeah.
And I'll do that multiple times. Out of 60 questions, I might answer 40. And then I have 20 I go through, and then 15, and then 10. And finally, I'm agonizing over 2, and I just pick one because I don't know everything.
And see, that's another reason to start with the ACH. It's free, so why not jump in there and get to learn the.
Yeah, actually, we've got 10 minutes. Let's see what it looks like.
Should we show how you sign up for one?
Yeah, so this is the Rovo fundamentals. I'm going to put this QR code back. Again, it's free. Please go get it. Where did it go? Is it this one? That QR code right there. I'm going to scroll down and schedule your exam.
Okay.
So this is going to pull me out into certain metrics. And this portal to me looks like it's out of the 90s. I don't know what we can do about this.
Yeah, that's a valid comment. Thank you.
But what I'm looking at is exams. I think this is the right spot, and exams.
So schedule an exam above.
I missed it entirely. This is why Kristján's here to help me out. Schedule an exam.
Yeah, and then Certiverse. And then scroll down to the bottom of that page.
All right, a bunch of
stuff.
You should
have SSO to Certiverse.
All right, so a couple steps.
Yeah, there's a couple steps because there's actually 3 platforms that are running the whole thing.
Oh, that's complex.
Yeah.
All right, so we come in here. Oh, all right.
And then on the left, you have exams. And then Rovo is there on top, for example. You click on it, and then you just click on Get Started. And then that should take you through to fill out the company you work for and the country. And accept and continue. And then you are.
All right. I probably won't actually do this live. I won't take the exam live. But, it's a couple steps, folks. But then you get in here. I've taken this exam through the Certiverse platform. Very straightforward. You just, again, pick the answers just like we saw in that quiz on the learning site. But definitely check out that QR code right above my finger. Free exam. Very quick.
And it also, so we're moving, or hopefully moving most of our exams over to Certiverse, which is a new platform for us. Atlassian started using it this year. So yet another reason to go and take the Rovo certificate is just to get to familiarize yourself with the platform.
Amazing. All right, folks, keep the questions coming. Satish mentioned almost like the PMP. That's the project management professional. That is, I can't say, it's one of the more widely known and accepted project management exams. I will say I've taken this one. The answers for the PMP for me were longer, harder to understand. I think Atlassian has done a great job of making simple questions. Like you can read them and understand them easily. And it felt less, I took it years ago, but it felt easier to understand and approach the Atlassian, even the ACP levels compared to the PMP. So that's my own personal experience. Everyone's different.
Jay is wondering about how much did I miss? Should we rewind?
Yep. So Jay, this will be available on both LinkedIn and YouTube. So you can refresh this. We're just wrapping up, but there's a QR code to a free Atlassian certificate on Rovo. So definitely somewhere to start.
Yeah.
All right. A couple moments. I do need some help from folks. I do a lot of these, this is basically my job to run sessions and training. This QR code takes you to a Google form. I'm just curious your thoughts on what you thought of this, on other content you want to see produced or created, just different ways I can support you all so I can make interesting stuff. I will keep guessing. I will keep finding amazing people like Kristján to come talk about areas they specialize in. But if there are specific things you want to learn or do, or I should stop doing or start doing, I expect you will tell me. So you can use that form or you can reach out to me anywhere else.
So, for example, more Icelandic jokes or less Icelandic jokes. Maybe.
I would love more Icelandic jokes. I've been to Iceland once when I was much younger. Beautiful place.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I was in Boy Scouts, and we had an international jamboree in Iceland, and it was in the summer. And we learned a few things. One, Icelandic people are crazy because when the sun doesn't go down, they're all up running around. And the sun didn't set until like 10 p.m. and it came up at like 2 a.m. So we're all trying to sleep, and all the other kids from Iceland are running around screaming, playing soccer. And then we discovered there's two weather patterns. It's either so windy, our tents are getting torn out of the ground, and we had to like stake them in, or there's no wind and the black flies are so thick you can't open your mouth. So we all got head mosquito nets and would eat our cereal under the net, because if we were trying to eat, the bugs would get in.
You must have been somewhere close to Miva. Man.
I'll take your word on that, my friend.
I didn't know that. Okay, we need to talk about that offline sometime.
Oh, yes. I will also share a side project I'm working on. This is an unofficial thing. This is not Atlassian's project. This is an unofficial mini certification. The picture is life size. The certification, the unofficial, Rob made this, not Atlassian, will fit in your hand. But this is intended to be a quick way to learn Confluence. This will help tee you up to go take your ACH, your ACA, learn these things. It's got to come out on YouTube. You can catch it here on the QR code. But another thing I had fun with, also making a little tiny certification just to print out and have. So definitely check that out. That goes to a learning site. It's free. But I had some fun with it. Be on the lookout for more of those little mini things. All right, folks. Other thoughts, questions, queries, quandaries, conundrums, complaints, confusions, quizzicalities, or compliments you want to drop?
Okay. I think I got caught two words there. What I want to encourage people to do is jump into the ACH. Just go for it. It doesn't take that long. You might want to read for it. Maybe not. I mean, you can retake it. Just go for it and see what happens. I think a lot of us, when we're taking exams, and not just these kind of exams, but also school or our driver's license or whatever, we get kind of what's the proper word? We get anxious and climbed up, and we can't think straight. Well, it's just because we're not in the practice of taking exams. It's just like the first semester in college versus the last semester in college, right? It just takes a while to get into the practice, getting the mind fired up, learning the environment, learning the parameters of the environment and how things work. But then when you take in so many tests, for example, the last semester of your college, you're taking hundreds of them. You know where the testing center is. You know everything, how everything works. So you're not worried about the what's the word? The nuts and bolts of taking a test. So now you're just thinking about the content and what do you know? What do you need to know? So that's why ACH is a great opportunity just to get started. Get that certification, exam taking muscle
Stronger.
exercise.
You gave me a good idea for a montage, Kristján, with getting ready for exams. I think Rocky going up the steps and lifting weights or whatever. Like, what would that look like for this?
Yeah. The more exams you take, the more comfortable you're with it. Mm-hmm. And you so the less anxious you are, and probably better you do.
All right. Tushar, thank you so much for coming, my friend. It's good to see you. I think I saw you this morning as well. Aswin over on LinkedIn, you're very welcome. I'm just glad I can help folks. My goal is at least one person learn something. Sometimes that's me. But I can see Jay, I help out with Software Essentials. That's one of the Jira ACAs. The takeaway for me from this is there are people out there who can help us. To Kristján's point, it's on us to get the practice and understand it. But I guarantee you, if you take 5 minutes and go into the community and look around, you'll find someone who can help you or inspire you or point you to more information. I would love to be that person, but also I'd love for anyone to be that person for you. So please keep reaching out. Please keep engaging. Find either of us on LinkedIn, on the community. Yeah. Shoot us a message. We'll be happy to help you in your certification journey, wherever that takes you. Yeah. All right, folks. I'll keep the chat open for a minute. But drop other questions. Kristján, any parting thoughts? I was going to say shots. Any parting thoughts for the group?
No, maybe that the only constant is change, and with software, we're just getting more and more changes, which means we just have to continue to learn And taking those exams is just a great way to do that. One last thing, if we can go over a little bit.
Please.
When I was studying for the ACP 100, the JIRA administration, I came across some topics that I didn't have a clue about. I didn't know they existed, these features. And I actually learned about them as I was practicing, getting ready for the exam. And then there was at least 2, if not 3, that I started using because I took the exam. So, you're also doing this for yourself, not just to show others, mom and grandma and LinkedIn and everybody else, but you're also doing this to better yourself and becoming a better professional, a better user, more of a super user. Yeah.
All right, folks. One last selfish shout out to this mini certification, highly unofficial. Check out the official ACH up here for free. Both are free. And thank you all for learning. Kristján, thank you so much for spending an hour with me. I really appreciate your perspective and looking forward to working with you more soon.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate being on the show.
Yeah. All right, folks.
Thanks everybody for coming and hanging out with us.